um, you know, with a little bit of historical reasoning, we could see something very much along the lines of the New Deal coming down this decade, even. So it's it's such a fluid time. It's tough to make predictions about how it's going to look even in November. Um, but I don't know that we're that far from upgrade with two Ds running for president. Like it's becoming a very odd timeline where I'm just like I can't believe this happened. I remember first saying that when Billy Ray Cyrus got a standing ovation at the BET Awards. I was like, what is with this timeline? But now it's like every single day I'm like, is that really what's happening now? Is the world really doing that?
But there are good points out there too. I mean, it's a crazy time, but we gotta look at. I mean, there's so much community kind of building through your quarantined, I'm quarantined. We're both kind of going through the same thing at the same time, but we're in different places. And
Yeah,
so I
there's
do
a
like
there's
you
a
said,
solidarity.
yes, without a doubt, because we're all in it. It's not just like, oh, this country has it. Oh, it's not our problem. Oh, this country has it. It's not our problem. We all kind of are dealing with it one way or another, no matter what country we're in, and no matter where in the world we are. And
Yeah,
I think that's beautiful. And I look forward to the day that this is kind of all over and we can kind of all gather again. And then hopefully the unity carries on even further. Not just oh, I miss being around other people. It's just, no, I genuinely miss people.
yeah. I mean, in some ways, kind of I feel like teenagers, maybe 20-year-olds, with the advent of VR, they might just say, you know, screw public, let's do it virtually public.
I'm waiting
But
for that day as well.
yeah, it really promises to be a lot like the anime we've watched all the way growing up. But yeah, we do have so many different areas where, like you were saying, the consciousness of people is being raised and empathy is being brought forward. It's hopefully a really important step in kind of people's insulation from society, where it is kind of that other country that's doing it, or even if it's in your town, it's those other people that have it. It's there's that insulation that allows you to stay above the crisis. But I think when assistants to presidents, governors, people are turning up sick at all levels of society, it does flatten the hierarchical privilege where your insulation all of a sudden uh, that much. Everybody has the ability to stay home for the most part. I mean, some people don't have home.
Sure.
Some people are essential workers, but it does get to it doesn't matter how much privilege you had in the past. Now it's still a threat to go out to the supermarket. You need to take precautions when you do it. It's like everybody has to deal with it on some level. So it really is, I think, changing so many dynamics in society that, to be honest, might have already been there, but just weren't part of the narrative that we accepted for ourselves. One of the things that is kind of a buzzword for a while was the Overton window, which is the window of acceptable political thought, where Medicare for all was, a Bernie Sanders plan up until this election cycle. A lot of people jumped on the on the bandwagon early on in the election and kind of came off at different points. The window of, well, maybe everybody should be able to be tested for this particular virus kind of presents another front in the opening of the window to talk about everybody getting health care in our society. And so, even kind of the grand narratives we've written about ourselves are being changed and altered day to day. Uh, I mean, $1,200 to every adult that has a tax account, I think, and 500 for dependent children. That's something. It's not nothing, but it's kind of indicative of the way we're going to have to distribute resources in the future.
Yeah, it's forcing the conversation and forcing progress a lot quicker than it would have ordinarily. And, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah. I wonder what happens, let's say, to the first 1,000 people, if it gets that far in Arlington, that get infected with COVID-19, diagnosed at some level, whether it's a test or presumptive positive from a doctor who's like, you have all the symptoms in direct contact. But what is the city, what is its Overton window for what it does for somebody who's like, hey, I'm sick and I'm at home. I don't want to go out to the store for toilet paper, rice, salt, and Gatorade. But if that can be brought to me, it's way better for society. And so it's like we kind of become almost an Amazon within our own community, where it's like, okay, we need to get these resources here. What do we have in place to do that? And so I think we're going to be seeing a lot of change coming up, but at a time where the city council is now confronting having to have meetings online rather than in person, the way business was kind of done before. So it's like we're now having to confront, in some ways, some of the more anachronistic and ancient technological delays. The Help America Vote Act in the early 2000s promised electronic voting, and so we did everything the same way, except now instead of an entirely paper system, you could scroll the wheel and vote electronically. But in the near future, I see a far more robust electronic voting system than just having a machine at the polling place. I've talked about it before, but an official opinion poll for the city of Arlington would be an easy way to kind of get it started, where people can register, and even if it's run by the city, it could have some basic propositions and questions that to some degree almost become a survey. So it would do a lot to get that sort of information sharing going between the city and the public structurally set, so that when there are issues with health and things like that, there are online mechanisms to just take care of it right away. I think we're going to find that we try to make use of the things we do anyway in other ways. Whether it's all of a sudden, if you're going out shopping, you call your friends first, see if there's any, little knickknacks that they need, so that when you go, you can help them out, and then you get those items to them over the next few days. But more into a barter model, where maybe you're trading some food for some cleaning products or something like that, where, like we were saying, society is very open to that sort of stuff, especially when we can't hang out together. It's like, oh, well, you're bringing that by, let me wipe a beer down for you and leave it out on the back patio,
Right.
or out on the steps, and we can talk for a little bit. But I really do appreciate you coming by for this or that. It is such a restricted but far more open environment than normal interaction has been. We were very used to saying please and thank you, and just dealing with an individual as a cog in a larger system. but people are tipping and thanking grocery store workers now, whereas before it was kind of like they were not valued as well. So I'm really interested to see where all this goes. It's like we said, it's a very dynamic time. I'm on pins and needles, just waiting to see what happens next.
Us too.
Yeah.
Well, we want to say thank you for coming on and talking with us. We're going to wrap things up a little bit here. But we appreciate your time and just honestly spending time talking with anybody. And, we're kind of stuck in the house with each other, and it's nice to talk to you, and it's nice to talk
Yeah.
the future and what it may hold. And we're really happy that you came on.
If people want to reach out to you and have these conversations with you, how can they do so?
That is a great question. I do have a Facebook profile, Chris Dobson. That's just my actual page. But I'm also on Twitter at Political Organ. I was going for Politically Organic, but that name was just 4 letters too long.
Oh.
I know, right? It was tough.
Just take out all the vowels like they do now. Just take all the vowels out.
Right. I actually tried to and effectively set up a TikTok account, but I'm not throwing that one out just yet. That might be something for election time. But generally, let me just say my email is sonodob@gmail.com. And so I also need other adult human interaction. So please don't hesitate to reach out and talk to me. I'd love doing it. Awesome. And thank you all again. It's a pleasure. And I've really enjoyed listening to the different shows and seeing how much of an influence y'all have had in connecting people within Arlington. It's I know I've been a spectator watching y'all, but it's really been amazing to see.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you so very much. Appreciate that.
You take care, and we'll talk soon.
Oh, yeah, you know it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, that was our show. Special thanks to Chris Dobson.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and sharing your insight. And we appreciate you being one of our second-time guests. Yeah. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. And good luck in your race.
Yeah, let's see if he gets to the 5-time. We never know.
He might.
Tag us and send those pictures over to us on Facebook, Arlington Citizen Media, Twitter, ATX Citizen Media. Tag us on Instagram, Arlington Citizen Media, and send those pictures the old-fashioned way. Email arlingtoncitizenmedia@gmail.com. Also go to our website, www.arlingtoncitizenmedia.com. Don't forget to subscribe and give those 5-star reviews of the Downtown at Apple Music, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and also hit us on SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening.
And go rediscover your city.
Boom.
Should we start saying it from a distance?
What do you mean?
Like, go rediscover your city from a distance?
Like in the back? Like you're going to walk away from the microphone?
No.
Oh, you mean like...
social distance.
Okay, guys.
From a distance.
I thought you were going to be like, go rediscover your city. Yeah.